Hello everybody, I'm Tel and this is Tel's Bench. My VFR 800 cam chains are a little bit noisy, so I'm going to change the rear and the front cam chain tensioners. But in this video we'll be doing the rear tensioner, and in part 2 we'll do the one at the front, as it's a little bit harder to film. So the rear one is just here behind this panel, and the other one at the front is just underneath the tank to the right here. But you will see the mechanics of it more visibly in today's one. Right, so these are the parts which I've now received. These are the two lifter tensioners, lifter assembly tensioner, I should say, and they seem to be quite well made. They came with the Honda part number on it and everything, so they look to be pucker, and they both come with this little tool in the bottom of them. I'll show you what happens when you release that. So this is like a little screw thread underneath spring tension at the moment. So what I will do is just pull that out, and that's what happens. To get it back in, you can't force it back in, but if you just dial it in gently without pushing it into the slots, until it comes back to around about 1 centimeter away from the base, or even all the way to the end, maybe. I don't know. Let's try it. Let's see where it actually stops. Right, okay. Yep. So at that point, you can then get it into a slot. It doesn't have to be exactly all the way back. And then that's locked in again, ready for insertion. Now, when you take these out, the old ones of these out, what you need to do is to put that in and wind this in first, which makes things a little bit more difficult in the front one, but it's still doable. I might make something for this to allow me to actually do that without using pliers, because I think it will be difficult with pliers, and I don't think I can get my hands in necessarily. There are metal caps to go over this, and they've got locating lugs there. You can see that little pimple, I think, is the best way to describe it. There's one on either side, and I think once it's located on that and it flicks out onto the tensioner inside and tensions the cam chain, that's not coming off. That's not going to move. The danger is that when you remove the one that's in there, you need to first of all make sure it's been retracted and then take it out very gently. So that's it. I mean, this is exactly the same, so there's no point in me showing you any more on that. They are the same. And then I bought two of these gaskets. So the washer's got a hole in the middle, a big hole. That's for the tensioner to go in. And these are the mounting bolts here and here. And you can see that very tiny hole there. Now, I don't know what diameter that is, but it looks to be something around about maybe a mil, or maybe slightly less than a mil. I don't know. Some people are saying to make that into a 2 mil hole. I'm reticent about doing that, because I would say if Honda made it that small, there's a reason why they made it that small. And they've worked okay with the hole the same size as it was originally, so I'm not going to make it any bigger based on that assumption. I'm sure some people will tell me I'm wrong and you should do it because it will put more oil in there, but maybe it's not supposed to have more oil in there. You know, if we get too much oil in there, if that's where the oil comes from, if it comes through there as the the place where it enters, then maybe it's not supposed to be any more than that, because otherwise, if it gets too much in there, it might create a damping effect. I don't know. Or maybe it's the right sort of damping. Anyway, whichever it is, I'm going to leave it as it is. So I just wanted to show you the parts. They're all ready, and if I'm willing, they're willing. So I think it's time to go and do the job. I'll get these two off first. So I'll just put those down there, get them out of the way. The rear slave cylinder mounting bolts are a T5. So let's get this one off next. So this is another 6mm bolt. So behind here are two nuts and washers. So we need to hold those while we remove the bolt. So I'm seeing if I can hold it with my fingers while I undo the bolts for the slave cylinder. It's a bit tricky, but I think I'm managing to do it. Sorry about the restricted view, but there's not much I can do really. It's very difficult to do this and film. Do the same for the other one. Well, I think this is just about coming off now, so thank goodness for that. Right, that's the washers out as well, which is over there. I'll get that one in a minute. You can see. And this, let's see if we can get this exhaust guard off. Maybe make it easier to get the plate out. So we'll just remove that. That's another T5. Come out fairly easy. If I just move that to one side. Right, so there you are. Finally, it eventually came out. Wonderful. That's the underside of it. That's where those two. So that black bolt that I took off first, that was at the top, that one. And these two are for the slave cylinder for the rear brake. So that's what they're for. So let's get rid of that. So I managed to loosen off the lower bolt on the chain tensioner, but I couldn't get the one out on the top. I couldn't get it loose. So I bought a different socket of the same size actually and hammered it over the top with a set of plumber's grips. And with that I managed to get it firmly seated at the very bottom, and then I managed to loosen it off. So that's pretty much where we are at this point in the video, but I'm saving you all the anguish that I went through of trying to loosen it off in the meantime. So now what we'll do is we'll tie this one back a little bit, or out of the way at least. And let's see if I can rearrange the camera somewhat so that I can right, I might try and get the camera moved slightly so that we can get a better angle. Let's see. Probably as best as I can do it. Otherwise it's going to obscure what I'm having to do physically. Anyway, I don't know if you can see my hand, but I can rotate that bolt by hand now. Got to put some paper down to stop the oil getting out when we take out this little screw at the end. So, one spring tensioner with the locking tool or the winding tool, whichever way you want to prefer it. Ready to accept a cap from the old one, and some toilet paper. Don't worry, it's a fresh roll. So no contaminants in the oil. So probably going to need quite a lot of that in there. It doesn't gush out, but it comes out steadily for a while until it releases what it's got in there. Okay, so I can just undo that screw. Here it comes dripping along. So there's the screw. Just put it down there. It's got a little washer on there, but that washer looks all right to me. I'm not going to worry about replacing that with anything new. If it starts leaking, then I will, but otherwise I'm not going to waste my money. And we'll just let this drip for a while till it's finished annoying me. It's amazing how much oil comes out of that. It should actually stop in a little while, but I don't know how long it's going to take. So, but there's a lot of people have said to me that they've changed this, and it has made tremendous difference to the amount of noise generated. Usually on the front rather than the back, but we'll do the back one first because that's the easiest to see. And from a viewer's point of view, that's what you're going to get to see the most. Put the camera in a little bit so you can see it. This thing's still stuck on there. Now I've hammered it on so hard, it won't come off. I'm sure it will come off. It's like one every four or 5 seconds now rather than one a second. Okay, I think that's pretty much stopped now. So there is the extracted tensioner, and it's got the cap on the top, and that cap will have to come off so we can fit it to the new one. Just a word of warning on that: when you take the tensioner out, be very, very careful. Don't pull it, just feel your way out so that it comes out with the cap intact and on the top. So we need to remove that cap and put it on the new one. So I think it's just a case of prising it off with a screwdriver. And it's off. The little oil hole goes towards the left hand side of the bike. Then the bolts to the top and to the bottom. So let's transfer the cap from the old one to the new one. Goes on quite easy. And then we'll wind this one up ready to go in. You definitely do need to be careful with those caps though, because although they're fairly tight on, I think that's about it. So that's in position. A new gasket, which I've got here. So that goes on just like that. And in there, really, that's it. So that's the good bolt, and I think we'll put that in the top first, and we'll get the other new one in the bottom. Right, so let's see if I can put that into place now. Get it tied into the thread. So I'll try and tighten it up with my fingers first, get it really started properly. Right, and I'm now going to repeat the same thing with a brand new one in the bottom. And now it's time to tighten them up. Right, during the tightening up process, right near the very end, it turns out that the key from the back of the tensioner fell out of the hole, and it released it just before I'd fully tightened it up, but it was close enough, so everything was fine. But for this particular one, top tip, next time, put some black masking tape around it to make sure it doesn't fall out. So now we need to put in the bolt to stop the oil coming out, because we don't need to do anything with the spring tensioner spring anymore. It's got an original washer which I said I'm going to leave on, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to finally tighten this one up, and then we should be ready to reassemble all of the bits around this. So let's put it back together. I'll just give it a little bit of a tie-in, not too much, right? That is enough. Not crazy amount of torque on it, because you just don't want the same mistake again. As long as it's nice and tight in there, but not crazy tight, that's good. So we can now take that off and put this mechanism back on again. And we're ready now to put the plate back in. Right, so we've got these two to come through here. I need to get this in first because it's a bit of a pain. It might smoke a bit actually when I start it up, because some of the oil has got onto the exhaust of my hands. I'm not exactly sure how this is supposed to go on. It's a real bloody pain in the... Right, let's try and get the master cylinder attached to the back plate first. I'm blocking the camera here, but there's really no option, unfortunately. Turn these up, hopefully. So finally, just securing the foot peg on the right hand side with a couple of bolts, and that'll sort of finish that bit up, and then we're pretty much there, I think. So it seems to go quite well. Okay then, she's all back together and it's time to put it to the test. Let's see what she's like on the rear tension. Okay, so no more noises coming from the rear tensioner now, so that's all good then. Right, we're going to do the front tensioner in episode 2, which will be coming out shortly. It may already be out by the time you're watching this video now. I will leave a link in the description for part 2 when it's available. In the meantime, please subscribe, turn on your notifications and like, so you never miss the updates from me. That being said, I will see you next time.